Now, for more analysis on China's manufacturing readings amid the pandemic economic recovery, we're joined by Jeff Moon, President of China Moon Strategies. Always good to have you.
Thank you.
So looking at the highlights and any surprises from these latest PMI figures, what does this data tell us about China's economic recovery?
Well, the Purchasing Managers Index is a survey of purchasing managers. These are people who buy things on behalf of companies, and they report in real time and give us statistics quickly, as opposed to government statistics which come in months later. So they are telling us that they have an increased number of orders in virtually all sectors, which predicts growth in the near term. And the news is good in the manufacturing sector, and it's especially good in the services sector. So all of this augurs very well for the Chinese economy as well as for the global economy, because we are so interconnected and so many countries are dependent on growth in China.
So give us some context about the role of manufacturing in really supporting China's growth before and amid the pandemic.
Well, manufacturing really is the backbone. As your report said, 38% or so of the Chinese economy, and a lot of that activity slowed down during the pandemic, simply because a lot of manufacturing depends on person-to-person contact. Operations were closed, and people could not operate in a normal way and manufacture products. The good news is that China has bounced back, has managed to bring its economy back online, and as I said, that's good news for everyone.
Now let's also talk about the efforts being made to speed up development of high-end manufacturing. What are we seeing there?
Well, this is part of the next five-year plan, the 14th five-year plan, and there are 10 sectors or so that China is emphasizing and trying to increase its manufacturing capability as it tries to move up the supply chain.
And so then, obviously, on top of that, we know that companies are also still dealing with the aftermath and the backlog caused by the recent Suez Canal blockage. Obviously, a lot of people waiting for a lot of these high-end manufacturing products. How do you see that affecting China's economy?
Well, I think this is another lesson in how we need to start managing supply chains. Previously, global supply chains were managed for purposes of maximizing efficiency. And the pandemic taught us that we really need to think more about resiliency. And the accident in the Suez Canal is a similar kind of lesson about resiliency, that we need to have backups in the global supply chain. And in addition, this may be another signal to China that it needs to speed up the reduction of its use of, of fossil fuels and develop more renewable energy sources.
And as you mentioned, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You also have ongoing trade tensions in different parts of the world. What sort of global discussions are being had around diversifying supply chains?
I think this is something that's been going on since the trade war began, quite frankly. I think that there has been a certain degree of decoupling. And the things that have been easy to do, that have been to resource or relocate some manufacturing, those sorts of things have been done. But I think the lesson that we've learned is that it's impossible to decouple, because our economies are so interdependent to each other right now that we can't decouple even if we wanted to.
And we've certainly seen that as demand is picking up in China, people are hoping that it's going to pick up in other parts of the world as well. So as we look at the vaccination efforts in China and around the world, what do you think China's vaccination efforts would really mean for overall economic growth globally?
I think vaccination efforts are key to global growth everywhere. Here in the United States, there's a major effort, as you know, to vaccinate. In China as well. It's only when everyone gets well and gets vaccinated that we can really resume our previous activities. I'd love to be with you in the studio. I'd love to be traveling. I'd love to do a lot of things that will resume our normal economic activity, and I'm hoping that that's not too far into the future.
And certainly, I'm sure a lot of people share that interest as well. So then what do we know about China's vaccination plan so far and its ongoing rollout?
I think that they are continuing. I've seen statistics that there are millions of people that are being vaccinated every day, very large population. The situation in China is not as dire as it is in many other parts of the world, but China needs to continue that vaccination, and I think the Chinese would like to accelerate the pace. I don't think the leadership is satisfied with the pace, and they're trying to do as much as they can to make that quicker.
And obviously we saw sectors across the board being affected. So which sectors actually have the most to gain with this increased herd immunity?
Oh, I think the services sectors have the most to gain because they were the most affected. And the pandemic in almost all countries has most affected small and medium-sized businesses. And this is something, by the way, that's not captured in the Purchasing Manufacturers Index because small and medium-sized businesses don't have purchasing managers that participate in the survey. So when people get vaccinated, they can continue that person-to-person contact that is at the core of their businesses, and they are really the people that have been affected most and the people that have the most benefit.
So looking ahead, what are you going to be keeping an eye on in terms of not just manufacturing, but also services in China?
Oh, I think services has an enormous amount of potential. This has been recognized for years by World Bank studies and Chinese government studies. The services sector, there are many different areas that China can grow. And speaking for the foreign community, there are a lot of areas where the foreign community can help develop those sectors as well.
All right, thank you so much. Jeff Moon there, President of China Moon Strategies.
Thank you.